like, I think like the title is very sly because, Atlantis is the heart of this story. She operates as both kind of the focus of the story, but also as the sort of hole in the middle of the story, or the lacuna, whatever you want to say, like this unknowable center at the heart of the story. But every book is ultimately about its narrator, right? This is really, it's Atlantis' story, but it's really your story, right? Your family, how you and Atlantis were both formed, by your parents, by the Wyeth country in which you were born, where you grew up. So did you sort of know that you were doing that when you started out, that it was going to sort of be about you? Is that what you originally intended, or is my interpretation off? Like, because again, like I think people might pick this up thinking, oh, it's just about this, it's about this mystery about the sister, but also it's about so much more. It's really a family portrait in many ways. So.
I'm so relieved that you see it that way, and that is how I intended it, and you nailed it. Part of the process was just as organizing it chronologically, knowing that's not the way I would actually have constructed the book. Mm-hmm. I erased myself pretty much in sort of a middle draft. It was all about Atlantis, and my strategy was follow Atlantis. I mean, ultimately, I wrote this book for my mother as much as for her, perhaps more so. But the strategy was follow Atlantis, and whenever I start going into some irrelevant thing or other, as you know, I let myself write it down, but I would just cut it out. So I think that ended up working. Of course, I had to bring myself back in. And as you know from the book, my sister wanted someone to write a book about her. She wasn't going to do it herself. So it has to be the Book of Atlantis Black. She even referred to the book that she imagined someone, a particular friend of hers, the wonderful Colleen Kane, she tasked her with that. And of course, who's going to do that? You can't tell someone, write a book about me, by the way, and here are all my passwords. But anyway, I think I erased myself and then brought myself back in. Not that there ever wasn't an I, but you're absolutely right that sort of tracking her and following her was the strategy.
I mean, it's about it's a lot about you, a lot about your mother, and a lot about Atlantis, but it's about Atlantis the way that you saw her, right? It's her, but it's your interpretation of her, which every biography is on some level, right? And she definitely, from reading, I mean, I so wish that I had the chance, to meet her in person, because reading the book, she leaps off the page, and I mean, every character does, but obviously she being the dramatic, and what's the expression, like chewing the scenery, like she's the person who chews the scenery, on stage, and she just sort of like begs you to want to talk about, to want to write about her, and what comes through so much is sort of, and we all don't have people exactly like her in our lives, but we have, I think many of us have people like her in our lives who demand so much attention, who are so maddening and so kind of they uncatchable, right? And in an interesting way, like so much of that frustration with her comes through in the book, as much as the sort of love letter that this book is to her. It's both like a, how can you be so maddening and how can I love you so much kind of experience that one has reading this book. And I think I just wanted to, it's not a question, I just wanted to sort of say how much I appreciated that as well. And I don't know if you have any response, and if that calls forth a response, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
It makes me want to cry, because I'm so, it's that, of course I was furious, and I did write out of rage, in addition to writing out of love. So of course everyone, people are multifaceted, they're never just one thing, but I think balancing as best I could the love and how much I wanted for her, and then the rage at what became of my mother, and really what I was left with. So
Exactly.
thank you for saying that.